Blasio. Come on, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to New York City. When the National Action Network is here in force, this great city becomes even greater. And I want to thank you. And first, I want to say to Reverend Al Sharpton, thank you for leading. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for showing us a way to fight for justice year in and year out. It's getting better all the time. Thank you, Reverend Al Sharpton. Thank you to the National Action Network, because what I love about this organization, I always say, the word action is in your title, because that's what you believe in. You are movement builders. And Rev and I have talked many times about the legacy of the movements of the 60s and what we need to learn, and it is about constantly building a movement. And this is what each of you are doing in every part of this country. And I want to tell you one example, give you one example right here, and it's near and dear to Rev's heart. Back in 2012, there was a fundamental problem. There was a division in this city, and it was about that policy of stop and frisk. It was a policy that was holding us back. It was degrading young men of color, treating innocent people like suspects of a crime they never committed. It was hurting the relationship between police and community. It was making it harder for us to move forward as a city. And in that moment, when so many of the voices of the status quo said, oh, no, you have to keep stop and frisk. It's the only way to stay safe. It may be unfair, it may be hurting us, but you have to keep it, or chaos will ensue. Well, Rev had the leadership, the understanding of the moment of leadership needed to do something different, so he called for a march, a silent march, down Fifth Avenue, Father's Day 2012. And at that moment, that status quo had not been confronted the right way. But with Rev's leadership and thousands of us gathered together, we started to make a change. And when I ran for mayor, I said, let's be clear. The policy of stop and frisk is broken. It's unconstitutional. It's holding us back. We have to change it. When I became mayor, we ended that broken policy. And my friends, we did not encounter violence and chaos. We did not go backwards to the 1970s. In fact, we became the safest big city in America. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. As movement builders, recognizing that time and time again, people will tell you what you can't do. But don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. Don't let anyone talk you out of your own power. What we have learned time and time again, we have to focus on what we can do. And my mission, when I became mayor of the largest city in the nation, was to show that the status quo was unacceptable, to show that it could be changed, that we would not accept it the way it was. And isn't that the truth in our nation right now? For so many working people, for so many people of color in America today, the status quo is just broken. It's broken and it cannot be sustained. Let's talk about it out in the open the way we need to so we can fix it. Let's talk about that painful intersection of structural racism and income inequality that's holding us all back. Let's call it out. In plain language, let's call it out so we can tear it down, so we can change a broken status quo once and for all. Now here's what's happening. Working people all over this country are working harder and harder. They're doing their share, but they're getting less and less back. All of the gains are going to the 1%. That's what's happening in this country. And I want to ask you, in your own lives, in your own communities, if you're seeing the evidence I'm seeing, I want to ask you this. Who here feels that you are working longer hours than you used to? Who feels that? Who feels there's more stress in your life than there used to be? Who here in this audience, and I can tell you I'm going to raise my hand for this one, who at some point has had trouble making ends meet? Who feels that you don't have enough time for yourself or for your family? That's what's happening. That's what's happening. I have been before audiences of every kind in states all over the country. Everyone answers the same way. It's happening everywhere, but my friends, it is not happening by accident. It is because of an agenda that started with Ronald Reagan and goes all the way to the tax cuts for the wealthy and the corporations that Donald Trump got passed by the Congress. This is an agenda that has been holding us back for decades. It's right before our eyes, but it's not being talked about the way it needs to be. We have a chance now to speak some truths. We have a chance to talk about the fact that our country, for so many people, is going in the wrong direction. But don't let people tell you we can't afford to fix these problems. Don't let people tell you we cannot afford to take care of working families. It's not for lack of money. There is plenty of money in this world. There is plenty of money in this nation. It's just in the wrong hands. Here in this city, and I know Rev has borne witness to this, in this city we have done things the other way around. In this city we have focused on putting money back in the hands of working people. In this city we decided there was a better way. And we started with our parents who work so hard, who so many struggle to make ends meet, to take care of their kids the right way. We decided we needed to do something for them. So we made pre-K a universal right in New York City. Pre-K today is free for every single family in this city. It has saved parents thousands and thousands of dollars, for some families tens of thousands of dollars. And every child today, think about the beauty of this, every child in this city starts at the same starting line. Every child gets the same opportunity, so we can really see the potential of each of our beautiful children that has so long been held back. Every 4-year-old gets an equal chance, and we saw it work, so we're going farther. We're going to do the same thing for every 3-year-old. Early childhood education for free for them as well. We looked at so many families that were working so hard, but God forbid that someone got sick in the family. And we saw what happened. If someone got sick, they had to miss work and they would lose a day's pay, or 2 days, or 3 days, or a week. We had hundreds of thousands of people who had no protection. We passed a law in this city to give paid sick leave to 500,000 more people who deserve that chance, who shouldn't have to choose between a day's pay and taking care of themselves or their children or their loved ones. And we did something else that went at the heart of what challenges so many people in this country. What's one of the number one costs we all face and we all struggle with? The cost of health care. Well, here in the city, we got a little sick of waiting for Washington, D.C. to come up with universal health care. Because if you wait on Washington, D.C., you could be waiting a very long time. So we decided to just get the job done ourselves, the do-it-yourself approach. And we are guaranteeing every New Yorker access to health care right now, right here. We've got 600,000 people who don't have health care, don't have insurance in this city. We're giving them what we call an NYC care card. We're going to assign them a primary care doctor in our public clinics, in our public hospitals. That's not health insurance, that's health care, direct to the people who need it. You know what happens to people who don't have health care? They struggle. They don't have insurance. They struggle. They get sick. They get sicker. And where do they end up? The emergency room. The last place anyone should have to go for health care, the emergency room. The place you go when you're already too sick. We don't want people going to the emergency room. We want them to have a doctor they could depend on. Doesn't that seem right? All the things I'm telling you are happening right here and right now. These are not dreams. These are not policy papers. These are not goals for someday. These are happening right now. And I want to give you one last thing we're doing. And everyone in this room works so hard. You work so hard for your families and your jobs, but everyone in this room is also an activist. And you work hard to change your communities and your country. But because you're Americans, you have no guarantee of any time off, no matter how hard you work. In this city, there are hundreds of thousands of people working full-time, giving their all. They don't get a single day off paid. We know in this country, millions and millions of people don't get a single day off in the entire year. We are the only industrialized country on earth that doesn't guarantee at least 2 weeks of paid vacation. The only one. While the 1% continues to profit, the folks who do the work, the folks who produce all that wealth, don't even get a day off. So in this city, we're passing a law this year guaranteeing 2 weeks paid time off for everyone who works in New York City. Working people deserve that. So I want to conclude with a simple thought. And I want to make clear all the things I've told you. They're happening. They're not words, they're deeds. They're happening here. They can happen a lot of other places. They can happen all over this country. You are movement builders. You're movement builders. You're proven change agents. Well, let me say to you, as movement builders, you have come to the right place. And if you need a little more hope, if you need a little extra burst of energy, little extra inspiration, just look at what's happening here in New York. I learned a long time ago to never take no for an answer, to never accept the unacceptable, to never believe the status quo couldn't be changed. I ask of you to keep doing the good work you're doing, to keep building this movement. It can grow, it must grow for the good of this country. I ask you to keep setting the bar higher, keep demanding more. And I will caution you that the minute you demand more, you will meet the doubting Thomases. You will meet the naysayers. You will meet the doomsayers. They'll tell you it cannot be done. They'll tell you it will not be done. You have to confront them. You have to prove to them your resolve. And if you need a little bit of backup, just tell them, come here to New York City. See how it's done. See that the change is happening already, right here in the nation's largest city. Tell them it can happen here and it can happen anywhere. And that is the movement we must build for working people in this nation. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Mayor Bill de Blasio. Give him a hand. Let me say